Hi Mauricio, this is Rob Tebbutt from Boxing Social.
How are you, my friend?
I'm very well, how are you?
Fine, thank you.
As I understand, you've been a very busy man today.
Oh, it's been crazy. I'm so sorry for the change of the time. I'm trying to catch a ride to go to the airport. I'm going to Quebec City to visit Adonis Stevenson.
Oh, of course. How is he? Do you have any update on his condition?
No, we have no update. That's why I'm flying to visit the family and visit him at the hospital. And we are all praying that he recovers from this accident.
Of course, and I'm sure that you'll understand that the whole boxing world is with him, and we wish him all the best.
Thank you so much. I will relate to his family this kind message.
Okay, so as I understand, I've got 15 minutes with you, so I'll try and fit everything in as quickly as I can. First off, I think it's fair to say the big news at the minute with the WBC and in boxing in general is the Deontay Wilder Tyson Fury fight. First and foremost, what did you make of the fight on December the 1st?
Oh, it was one of the greatest heavyweight fights in recent years, and without a doubt, one of the greatest fights we have seen in a long time. There was a lot of doubts about Fury's condition, and he proved everybody, and he showed everybody how you can overcome adversity and make it as a motivation and become great in what you do. Fury became a motivation for millions around the world, showing how you can get up from the floor and be a champion again. And I'm so proud of Fury. I'm so proud of the event itself. I'm very proud of both of them. They showed tremendous sportsmanship after the fight. They had animosity building the fight into it, and it was a true emotional moment before and after. So overall, I'm extremely happy and proud of what we saw December the 1st.
I think I can echo those sentiments. I agree. I think it was a fantastic fight. Unfortunately, it seems to me the aftermath of the fight has kind of been marred a little bit by what a lot of boxing fans perceive to be a bad decision. A lot of fans felt that Tyson Fury deserved to get the victory. Just wanted to know your thoughts. How did you see the fight? Who do you feel should have won the fight?
You know, I trust the power that the judges have. You have three judges that score a fight, sitting in a unique place, concentrating the whole 3 minutes, without any influence or favoritism. And I was present, but when you are there, you're working. So you're looking at papers, looking at the rules, looking at things. You are not fully concentrated the whole 3 minutes of the whole 12 rounds. Same goes to a fan. A fan, of course, has a favorite, so he's looking at different things. He's distracted by what is happening around them. The crowd noise distracts them as well. And some of us have a few beers during the fight, so you're influenced as well. I trust the judges. The judges had a different view. One gave it to Wilder, one gave it to Tyson Fury, and one gave it a draw. I trust and I support the final decision of a draw, and it was a fair decision at the end. Of course, Fury fans saw Fury win, and of course, Wilder fans saw Wilder won. So I would not like to take away anything from the fight and fall in controversy of a scoring. I trust each of the three judges who scored that fight. They're honorable men. They're highly reputable men, and I'm happy with the final end result of a draw.
Now, I watched the fight live from LA. I've also watched the fight back. I wasn't having a few beers. I was watching and paying attention for the full 3 minutes of each round. I scored the fight for Tyson Fury, but I could also see a case for 113 with the knockdowns for Wilder. But what I couldn't see a case of, in my unbiased opinion, is a 115-111 for Wilder, which is the card that Alejandro Rachin put forward. That card has received an awful lot of criticism. Is that something that you think is fair? Do you think that, because this is coming from the media as opposed to fans?
Yes, I hope that you do not that my comment about the beer.
No. That's a joke, of course,
Does not get in any way misinterpreted.
Of course not.
And of course I respect your view of the result of the fight, and we all have our own opinion, and that has to be respected. Media have it also. There were some highly reputable media members who had it for Wilder. So I'm sorry for Rochin's fire that he's going through, because he's a decent man, a good official. 115, 111 is, of course, a wide score. The fight was closer either way than 115, 111. We're talking about 2 rounds that he has gone too far for Wilder. But as I say, I like to stick to the end result. I like to stick to the draw, which is fair. And I'm sorry for Rochin, who has taken a heavy hit on his personal life from fans and media. But this is boxing. And I'm sure he's reflecting on what he saw, what he scored. And as I say, I like to stick to what happened in the ring, and the end result coming for a draw simply gives it fairness to both fighters.
Of course. Last question on scorecards, not related to necessarily the Wilder Fury fight, but in recent times, I mean, last year we saw the Canelo Golovkin fight. The Adelaide Bird scorecard was again met with a lot of derision among boxing fans and media. In your role as head of the WBC, does it frustrate you and upset you that these scorecards are tendered that does inevitably take attention away from the fight itself and opens it up to a lot of criticism?
Boxing needs to look into it immediately. We need a reform. There's a 10-point must system which calls for officials to evaluate and rule and give a score after each round. Why 10-10 are not used? Why 10-8 without a knockdown is not used? That's a problem that we have to address. The situation comes when the local jurisdictions are the ones responsible to appoint the officials. There's no communication in many instances into the agreement of having the officials who score the fight. The best scenario is that 4 neutral officials from nationality score a fight. Because how can you have a British fighter coming into America and have 2 or 3 ring officials from America? Or how can you have an American go to the UK and have 2 UK officials? Or how can you have a Japanese go somewhere else and have 4 officials? It's a difficult topic because it comes down to every single local jurisdiction appointing the officials. It comes down to local jurisdictions telling the judges not to give 10-10 and not to give 10-8 without a knockdown, and not to use the whole 10 points of the 10-point system. We are going to continue our process. We have open scoring after the 4th and the 8th round. You give the opportunity to the corners to make a decision if they need to adjust their strategy. We're going to continue to push for 4 or 5 judges in championship fights. But it comes down also to financials. Not all fights are so big that they can pay for 5 judges. But we're working on it. Boxing deserves a better treatment from the administrators, and we need to correct and also do our job. We need instant replay in boxing. We need to adjust to the modern times where technology can help our sport to do the fair things for the fans.
Moving away from the first Deontay Wilder-Tyson Fury fight, as I understand, rematch has been sanctioned. Can you give me any update and also inform me as to the difference between a rematch being sanctioned and a rematch being ordered, and if that fight indeed is going to happen next between both men?
The WBC voted in favor for the rematch. There's two fights happening on December 22nd. One is the mandatory contender, Brazil, and also Dillian White is fighting on the 22nd, who is the silver champion and the number one contender. And Fury and Wilder are taking a much-deserved rest. So we're going to take up in January all the administrative work, but the WBC has a rematch agreed and in place.
So by what you're saying then, it may turn out to be that once December the 22nd has come past, provided, for example, Dillian White beats Derek Chisora and Dominic Breazeale comes through his fight, it could well be that one of those takes the mandatory slot and then fights Wilder next, or is it still Wilder Fury 2 that's very much at the top of your priority?
No. The WBC has Wilder against Tyson Fury rematch.
Okay. Would that potentially lead to Dillian White facing Dominic Breazeale potentially for an interim title?
I don't know. That's a possibility. We have, as I mentioned, a ruling from the convention, and then after the convention, we have a ruling on a immediate rematch. As I said, there's these two fights taking place because our convention ruling has to do with the mandatory. So now we have a rematch ordered, and we will deal in January once the two fights have taken place, and we'll do a definite final ruling in which we incorporate what's going to be the situation of the mandatory defense of the champion.
Okay. Just moving away from, staying with the theme of WBC ordering fights, I know the WBC convention in Kiev that's just passed, they ordered fights, for example, Jamal Charlo versus Gennady Golovkin. That fight hasn't been made. I know Jorge Linares versus Adrian Broner was another fight that was mandated that hasn't been made.
Charlo is defending the title on the 22nd. That's why we are waiting for that fight to take place, and then in January we will address. Broner decided to take another fight against Pacquiao, so Linares will not happen. So that happens. During the convention, we go through each division. Some of those fights are not materialized. And that's when the WBC has to regroup and make adjustments to the rulings on each division.
Just finally, because I'm aware that my time is running very thin with you, I do appreciate your time. What updates can you give me with...
My pleasure.
Thank you very much. What updates can you give me with regards to the WBC Clean Boxing program? The Charlo twins are two of a few fighters who missed drugs tests. What kind of sanctions or punishments can we expect for those fighters? I know recently I saw, I think Mark Heffron and another fighter whose name escapes me also fell foul to not signing up to the program. Do you think the WBC Clean Boxing program is working, and what sanctions can we expect for people like the Charlos who are missing drugs tests?
The WBC Clean Boxing program is working greatly, and we are working to improve it every single time. We have to be very fair in understanding that a missed test means that the collector officer could not reach the fighter in the information that he registered as home or training. So when a collector officer misses and cannot locate him for 6 hours, then it is recorded as a missed test. The Charlos have a missed test from the random collection system. So they were randomly selected to be tested, and they were not reachable. So they have a missed test. It doesn't mean that they have a positive or an adverse finding. It would not be correct to go immediately and try to test them again because it did not come from a random system. So, just as the Charlos, other fighters have had missed tests, and they are imposed a fine, and at least they pay for the expenses incurred in that missed test. But I will not single out the Charlos. That would be unfair. They were simply missing a test from a random system. This was not a test order for a fight leading up.
Sure, I understand
I'm
that.
making sense.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I understand that. I understand why it's important not to single out them. They are just the highest profile people on the list. But I guess it comes back to kind of the question that I asked, which was kind of guaranteeing that doesn't happen again. Fighters who are in year-round testing, who sign up for year-round testing, part of that is to make their availability known to testers so they can be tested by random drug testers. So I guess the question is kind of, what are you looking to do to make sure that when people are signing up for that they don't miss tests and they are making testers aware of where they are?
Yeah, we are taking a much more aggressive approach starting 2019. We are getting more information and education to all the signed fighters. So they need to be aware that they have to change their whereabout form every time they change location. And this is just a process. We are making adjustments, we're making it better. It is a very costly process, and we believe in it. So we're trying our best to keep it as best as possible. Any fighter who does not enroll is taken out of the rankings. And we believe in fair boxing. We believe in them enrolling. And we are taking actions for those who miss the test.
Okay, well, just finally, before I let you go, Mauricio, we see Canelo Alvarez is back in action this weekend against Rocky Fielding. Where does that leave him with regards to his WBC middleweight title? Can we expect him to return to middleweight in the future?
Canelo is representing the WBC on this Saturday as middleweight champion. He's fighting Rocky Fielding at the super middleweight. It's an important fight, a challenge to come out of Hopkins' victory and immediately go into the ring. So we're going to wait after the fight. He is the champion, and he will remain champion because he's fighting in a higher weight division, and we will hear from him what he decides on which division he will continue, win or lose.
Saw some stuff on Twitter, Mauricio, saying that the MGM or the T-Mobile Arena had been booked for Cinco de Mayo between Loeffler Promotions and Golden Boy. Don't suppose you've heard anything about that, have you?
Well, it is a common practice for major promoters to reserve site in Las Vegas for those 2 weekends, Cinco de Mayo and September 16. That happens every single year. Of course, it gives open to speculate. If they reserve, then you can make assumptions. But we will wait. Of course, it will be a tremendous, great third fight. And we will just see. I don't like to speculate. We don't rule from speculations. So we will see what happens. Canelo has to fight on the 15th, and we will see what happens afterwards.
Okay, well, Mauricio Sulaiman, thanks very much for your time. Always a pleasure catching up with you. Send my best to Adonis Stevenson when you're on your way to Canada. I look forward to catching up with you soon.
Thank you so very much for your time, for your call, and happy holidays to all.
Thank you very much, Mauricio, for speaking to Boxing Social.
Thank you. God bless. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.